Okay. um, so he keeps saying this, and I got to tell you guys, almost all the time when Trump harps on something, he ends up being right. Now, because Iran, it's the wildest thing. It is the wildest thing to see Americans trusting Iran over Trump. Remember, last week I talked about how one of Promethean Action, Susan Kokinda, said that this is the only war in modern time for the U.S. where UK wasn't excited to jump in. Now, that really struck me, and she's absolutely right. And, you know, when the Uniparty was in control, when City of London was running our government through the deep state and its assets, when they had the control of both sides, they were happy to jump in on all of it because it meant the war machine was going to get running, the bankers were going to get paid, more disruption would happen, America would get weakened, they would all pocket money off of it, people would die. They're all for that because they love depopulation. These people are sick, evil people. But this is the first time the UK has not been excited about it. First time NATO has been holding off. Well, you know who else has been holding off? Because in every American war, there's always a rally around the flag moment where Republicans and Democrats would come together. That, my friends, hasn't happened this time. And we all know why. We all know why. It's the first time ever where within the first month, now in other wars over time, it became a political expedient to go against the wars as they dragged on. And it got used as a tool by both sides, and they both lied that they wanted to get out and they'd keep it going. You know how it went. But Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, didn't matter who was in power, it kept going. But the party out of power could say, we don't want to be in there anymore. For politics, get the people on your side. And then they'd always find an excuse to stay. Well, this is the first time that hasn't happened. First time there wasn't that coming together moment. And you just ask yourselves why. Which party is still fully controlled by City of London? It's the Democrats. 100% they're fully controlled except for Fetterman. He's the only one, which is wild to think about. Now, Republicans, many of them in the Senate, are controlled as well, but they still have to play their role, you see, because Trump owns the Republican Party. So even though these guys are still getting paid, whatever, controlled, they have to be more subtle. They have to pick their battles, and they can't outright challenge the president or they lose everything. And the deep state, the only way they have a chance of holding power or ever getting it back is if they play everything perfectly. And that means sometimes people on our side who are corrupted have to still play along. So the Republicans are playing along. It shows you that Trump still has more power than the other side. But all that to say, it's wild to hear Democrats, media, parroting that this just can't be true. They don't believe that our president is actually having negotiations. But Trump keeps saying it. And so I believe it has to be true. It says great progress has been made. For a real reason, a deal's not shortly reached, which it probably will be if Hormuz Strait's not immediately open for business. We'll conclude our lovely stay in Iran by blowing up and obliterating all their electric generating plants, oil wells, and Karg Island. That, my friends, is crazy. Like Trump he's putting it out there. He went to 11. Which we purposely not yet touched. This will be in retribution for our soldiers and others Iran's butchered and killed over the old regime's 47-year reign of terror. Trump's just the master at this. Remember, Scott Adams always said that Trump was the greatest at persuasion he'd ever seen. Well, we're still watching it. I mean, just putting it in here, the regime's 47-year reign of terror. Just reminding everybody, this has been going on for 50 years. This isn't new. Carolyn Levitt today backed it up. Let's listen to what she had to say.
The president posted this morning about, his threat that on leaving Iran, he said we might blowing up and completely obliterating all of their electric generating plants, oil wells, Karg Island, and possibly all desalinization plants. Under international law, striking civilian infrastructure like that is generally prohibited. Why is the president threatening what would amount to potentially a war crime with the U.S. military? And how do you square that with the administration repeatedly saying that the U.S. does not target civilians?
Look, the president has made it quite clear to the Iranian regime at this moment in time, as evidenced by the statement that you just read, that their best move is to make a deal, or else the United States Armed Forces has capabilities beyond their wildest imagination, and the president is not afraid to use them. That's not what I said, Garrett. And you're saying the word potential for a reason, because I'm sure some experts are telling you that in your ear to try to ask me that question. Of course, this administration and the United States Armed Forces will always act within the confines of the law. But with respect to achieving the full objectives of Operation Epic Fury, President Trump is going to move forward unabated, and he expects the Iranian regime to make a deal with the administration.
To that end, which of those objectives would destroying a desalinization plant most help?
Haley, go ahead.
You see what they're trying to do, and thank God we have people like Caitlin who's so good at handling the media. They're trying to ruin MAGA completely, because what is MAGA's like? We trust our president. Okay, that the poll after poll after poll shows that. Poll after poll shows that MAGA wasn't so stupid to fall into the trap of thinking that Trump would never use the military. We understood he would use it. Just don't get us stuck. We don't want 100,000 troops going over, invading, getting stuck. And yet they keep pushing that. So it's Trump's lying. He doesn't talk to anybody. Trust Iran. And then on the other side, it's what's Trump really doing? Is he preparing for a great mass invasion? There was a story going around this weekend that everybody's parroting that Trump has sent 50,000 troops over there. 50,000. Oh my God, here comes the boots on the ground. Except it wasn't true at all. And even the New York Times called it out and said, we have 40,000 troops already there in bases all the time. We've just added 10,000. That's not a ground invasion, folks. You can't invade with 10,000. You can run some special ops, which I believe we're probably all fine with. You could probably take Carg Island, which again, we're probably all fine with. None of that says invasion. None of that says getting stuck. This is all strategic. And I believe, especially as I go through what I'm about to show you guys, the rest of what I have here, that this looks like it could end quickly. It really does. And it's just nonstop propaganda to make us think we're going to get stuck again. They are so scared that Trump's going to pull this off. They are terrified. Not only for the fact that if he pulls it off, City of London's done. Okay. And if you don't understand why, please go back and watch some of my other videos. I don't have time to go into it all tonight. Tom Luongo broke it down brilliantly when he was here. Okay. So City of London, though, they're never going to be the same if we finish this Iran operation. This is their last stronghold. They were able to control the world's oil supply because of Strait of Hormuz. They were doing it through the insurance. They were doing it through owning the Khomeinis. Okay. They lose this, guys. Basically, our foreign operations, even Trump told us the other day, once Iran's done, we're focusing on the Democrats who are the last threat to our country. Trump's letting us know that this is the last big thing we have to do militarily, last big thing we have to do foreign policy-wise, because we're not going to fight Ukraine. We're not going to fight Russia. Europe's not going to fight us militarily. They can't. He knows China would never do that. So we've been exposing that all here because we watch Trump and trust Trump. And he always ends up right, guys. He always does. It's the craziest thing. So let's keep going here. Now, so Trump is ramping things up. Told the Financial Times he wants to take the oil in Iran, is considering seizing Carg Island. This is all part of the deal. Okay. He is pressing Iran to, like, you guys have to make a deal or I will literally gut you and you will have nothing. To be honest with you, my favorite thing is to take the oil in Iran. Some stupid people back in the US say, why are you doing that? But they're stupid people. Remember Trump said we should have taken the oil in Iraq too. He knows what he's saying. But here's Trump, all right, talking about us being ahead of schedule.
Are you considering still putting boots on the ground, and would you do that without going to Congress? I
just have lots of alternatives. We have tremendous numbers of ships over there. We don't need them all because of, the power. Look, I would say we're just like we're ahead of schedule on the ballroom. In a much bigger way, we're ahead of schedule with Iran. We're weeks ahead of schedule. If you would have said that in 3 days we were going to knock out 158 ships, their entire Navy, which we did, we knocked out their entire Air Force. We knocked out most of their missiles. That's why you see missile attacks, but they're sputtering. And we have a group, it's really a new regime. It's a new group of people that we've never dealt with before.
I'm still waiting. I think we're all waiting. So you guys still waiting on the super duper secret missile stash that they were supposed to have? The super duper scary, gigantic missile stash that was going to destroy us as soon as we slowed down. Remember that? Died suddenly. We have a super duper secret source who's never been wrong, who has told us that there is a massive missile stockpile that's going to be used, and they're just waiting for it to slow down, and then Iran will unleash hell. Yeah, that makes so much sense when you're just getting pummeled into oblivion, doesn't it? Let's just sit back and wait. Well, we're making sure that they don't have those anymore. As Trump posts tonight, that's a big boom, guys. That's a big boom. That's Trump's Truth Social, so I'm pretty sure this isn't AI. This is probably real footage. I'd say there's a high chance of that. And by the looks of it, bunker buster bombs have penetrated the missile base in Isfahan. So much for those super duper secret weapon stash, huh, guys? Looks like they went bye-bye. Yeah, not looking good. Thought Iran was just gonna come destroy us, but as usual, all the doomers are wrong. At this point, I mean, seriously, who's still blackpilling? I mean, I get you can be a little concerned. You can be like, how are we gonna pull this off? But by blackpilling, I mean, how is anybody who actually is paying attention, not just listening to Candace Owens or Alex Jones? Oh, it's World War III. I mean, World War IV. I mean, I can't remember. I'm so drunk. What is it? I mean, Iran isn't doing anything to us. They pissed off the entire Middle East, thinking that then their grand plan were going to turn everybody against us by bombing them. I don't know. I don't figure that one out. These great military minds. This is the big bad. China 1, Russia 2, Iran 3. You go after them. It's world war. Our whole lives we heard this. And yet they're just getting dismantled. And the doomers all said, oh, just wait. Wait to see what Iran's got for us. Nothing. Wait to see will Russia gets involved. Nothing. Wait to see till China gets involved. Nothing. I just, at some point you have to say, you can't keep going down this road. Oh, wait till this. Wait till this. No, guys, we're winning. And it's so obvious. There is no question about it. We are kicking their butts. They are, we've just never seen this before. The American military has proven we're not 2 years ahead of other countries. We're 20 years ahead of other countries. That whole psyop for years where we were told they aren't going to be, they're catching up to us. We're only a couple years ahead. Well, all the air defenses in Venezuela and Iran were Chinese and Russian. And what did we just do to them? Just smashed them. It's crazy. And if you trust President Trump, you see it. Again, calling out what's going on here. Iran is always, the reason it was allowed to continue the way it was for so long is because City of London, who was running the show in the West in most places, including a lot here, it was their great destabilizer. You guys need a war? We need to make some money? Cue up Iran. How do we do it? Well, not Iran directly. We'll fund the terrorist squads. As Rubio says, every single one of them is tied to Iran.
Makes is he prefers diplomacy. As I said, those efforts are nascent. There is messages being relayed back and forth, some conversations going on, including through intermediaries, and he always prefers that. Look, if the Iranian regime had come forward at any point in the past and said, we're going to walk away from our nuclear ambitions, we're going to do nuclear energy the way every other country in the world, primarily, almost every other country in the world does it, and that is through a peaceful means in which you bring in the fuel and it's supervised and so forth. We're going to stop supporting terrorist groups across the region. Look at this region. Every single terrorist group in this region has a link to the Iranian regime. Every single one. The Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Shia militias that are attacking everyone out of Iraq. Every single one of these groups and all the destabilization. And
every single one of them. And Trump's about to take it all out. You guys understand? Speaking of, well, actually, let me get to that in a minute. I'll get to that in a minute. I got something I got to say to add to that, but check this out. Here's MBS, Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, saying that Obama gave Iran $150 billion and they didn't even build a street with that money. Here he is down here. I'm not going to play it. We'll just go through this real quick. But they made missiles and drones, used the funds Obama provided them to finance and arm terrorists, which we know, but it was Obama. And why? Because they needed to keep it going. They needed to keep it going, and they were ramping up for World War III. And so through Obama, through his nuclear deal with Iran, they funded all the terrorists in the area, gearing them up. And if Trump hadn't stopped that money flow and cut it off and defeated ISIS in his first term, they were going to get the Middle East full, and also Trump did the Abraham Accords. They were going to get the Middle East completely sucking everybody in to World War III. That was the plan. That was the plan all along. And it failed because of Trump. I mean, when you have Prince of Saudi Arabia calling it out, that's a big deal. And now we're one nation away. This whole thing in Iran, we're one nation away from having peace in the Middle East. And Trump is getting ready to get us there. But everybody's saying this is for Israel. Well, here's Trump back in the 1980s.
Because I'm running for the presidency. I'm here because I'm personally tired of seeing this great country of ours being ripped off.
But as far as Trump is concerned, our allies are only part of the problem. The real culprit is Iran.
Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do you mean
go
we
in,
take their oil?
You go in. You're
How
gonna have
do
a
we
war,
go
Barbara.
in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me.
Yeah?
You're going to have a war. And it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said, you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations. And I mean grab it and keep it. And get back your losses, because this country has lost.
So Trump's been planning this for 40 years, and somehow this is 1988, 38 years ago. Somehow he's controlled by Israel, which brings me to the last point I was going to make. Sudden, Israel has no more enemies. All those terrorist organizations trying to destroy him, done, defunded. They're easy to take out now. Iran, the big bad, done. And all these other countries are anti-Iran now. Almost all of them have peace deals with Israel now. Guys, by doing this, Trump also takes Israel off the board as being a destabilizer. And again, I don't think Israel is responsible for everything in the world. I just don't. I also don't think they're perfect, because that's stupid. They're not. Okay, and I say that as a Christian, okay, but I just don't believe that theology and that they can't do any wrong. Netanyahu has done horrible things for his country. Israel has been used by City of London to do terrible things. They have been used at times to destabilize the Middle East. There are ties from Israel to City of London, but this frees them because now there's no more enemies there. And I do think that's a big part of it. Getting Israel freed from City of London as well, because this also frees the Iranian people from City of London. Guys, that giant cabal, it tracks, but not to Israel. And that's one of the giant psyops. That is one of the giant psyops. But Trump, I mean, at this point, with all the evidence we have, Trump's own words from 40 years ago, it's again and again and again, it's proven. And if you put the pieces together, it's obvious. So we have plenty of evidence, and you can logically play it out that this sets us free from all those Israel ties that everybody says we have, all that control Israel has over us. That's how it goes, guys. It's crazy. But that's how it works. That's how it works. Kabasi letter reports this from Trump tonight. President Trump's willing to end the Iran war even if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, per Wall Street Journal. Details include Trump and his aides assessed that a mission to reopen Hormuz would push the conflict beyond his timeline. Do you understand? Trump keeps bringing up this timeline. We're 4 weeks in. Now 4.5 weeks in. The fact Trump keeps bringing us back to this tells me that he wants it over by the end of next week. Now, this is also very interesting because he's willing to end it without opening the Strait of Hormuz. What did Tom Luongo say when he was here? He said he absolutely believed that Trump didn't care about the Strait of Hormuz. Well, he's being proven right. And why do we not care about the Strait of Hormuz? Because we're insulated. We export oil. We're a net exporter. We have been completely set free from relying upon the world for it. Trump could command the oil companies to not export as a national emergency. We need it here. And we could have cheap gas while the rest of the world is struggling. We are natural gas. We export more than the next 2 countries combined. We have all the energy we need. Trump has given us an economic energy miracle. And the only reason these prices are affecting us right now is because they sell that oil to other countries for higher prices. We don't have to do that. We can keep it all here. This, though, by keeping the strait closed and pulling out of Iran, it forces Europe and the Middle East to take care of their own problems. China weakens China. And interestingly enough, it strengthens Russia, which really plays into the idea that Trump's been working with Putin all along to defeat this cabal out of Europe. Trump believes the U.S. should achieve its main goals of destroying Iran's navy and missile stockpiles. Trump thinks he can wind down current hostilities while pressuring Iran diplomatically to resume the free flow of trade. If that fails, Washington would press allies in Europe and the Gulf to take the lead on reopening the strait. The U.S. stock market rising on the news. Dude, he is not afraid at all. He is not afraid at all. You know what a baller big dog move this is to if we dumped Iran, decimated Iran, and left the strait to be figured out by everybody else? Dude, that is just flopping your nuts on the table. Sorry, ladies. Sorry for being crass. That's what this is. This is a big boy move. And now that Trump has said this, guys, this is what everybody has been freaking out that we can't figure out. This is why we're stuck. And Trump just took it off the table. Says, I don't even care about that. That, my friends, changes the game. And it tells me that Trump is completely in control. He's completely in control. He completely knows what he's doing. This is where this is going to freak out the rest of the world. Watch tomorrow as we see countries starting to say, oh, no, we're going to help. We're going to do. Watch. It's going to get really interesting now. Trump is playing. He's negotiating, and nobody does it better. Nobody does it better. Let's go into this real quick. This is an excellent post, and I just wanted to go through some of the points it makes because he really breaks down a lot of what's, well, as this thing's called, American Debunk. He's really debunking some of the narratives out there about Iran. Iran wasn't optional, he says. Russia, China, Iran spent a decade building an axis designed to encircle American power. Partially true. Partially true. But Iran, now we know more and more, has a lot of City of London control. Iran funds the proxies. Proxies bleed the region. Russia bleeds NATO. China locks the oil routes. Only move was to pull the thread that unravels it. Trump pulled it, and he had to. Many of you, like me, condemned it, but when you take a step back, you see it was necessary and inevitable. You see, people are waking up. Now, this guy hasn't made the City of London connection yet, and we'll wait till he does. It'll blow his mind. But still waking up because he's seeing how it affects everything else. Says Trump's not losing the war. Everyone's watching the air campaign. Nobody's watching the 5 operations running simultaneously. It says we're controlling them. Deadlines were never about getting deal. They were the clock as we let Iran burn through missiles and drones. One target, Karg Island. Iran knows they're mining the beaches, spending resources they don't have, fortifying an island. CENTCOM's already hit 90 times. When a regime that can't feed its own soldiers is preparing to defend one specific piece of geography, that's the objective. April 6th is the deadline. That's interesting because that's Friday. Sunday? Yesterday, Pakistan announced it's ready to host U.S.-Iran talks. They don't do that unless Iran's ready. Abraham Accords were impossible, they said. They happened. Media's running the same panic on Iran. Trump's in the driver's seat. This from somebody who didn't trust the war at the beginning. Telling you guys, pretty crazy. Rubio calling out NATO more. If Europe won't allow us to use the bases we man, fund for their defense when we need them, we ought to close them down, remove our troops from Europe. This is the off-ramp from NATO, guys. See, all the stuff everybody wanted Trump to do, foreign policy-wise, get us out of NATO, get us out of the wars, break our ties to Israel, stop all the outgoing aid, stop funding proxy wars. Trump is doing it all. It just doesn't look like everybody wanted it to look. People had a belief that everybody was going to come in, snap their fingers, and Trump was going to fix all of the United States problems in 5 days. And it was going to be the rest of the time we were all just going to be dancing. Like, he did it. We voted him in and he did it all right away. Hallelujah. My God, people, like, wake up. These things take time. He's unraveling decades of intertwined economies and alliances that are detrimental to the U.S. He's unraveling all of it. And he's doing it in a way where most of the time he's exposing them along the way. It's brilliant. And it's working. And it's happening. For those who are paying attention can see it. And again, people are waking up. Harvard-Harris poll, left-wing poll. Key takeaways, 76% say the U.S. is winning the war. Sorry, propaganda machine, you're not working. 64% say Iran violated its nuclear deal. Guys, that means a whole lot of Democrats believe it too. 62% view Iran as direct national security threat. 67% say Iran's a leading source of instability, terrorism, and war. 68% believe the Iranian people don't support them. 73% support Israel over Hamas. 51% support Israel, U.S.-Israel strikes on Iran. 54% say it's justified. Guys, these numbers are crazy positive, and they'll get even more positive if Trump ends it quickly. The midterms, friends, are not as far apart as people think they are. The Democrats are not on track for a blue wave, especially when this operation is finished. It's going to change things a lot. Trump he's doing things that, even though you might not like it in the moment, you might not understand it in the moment, he really is working towards all the things we want. And it's pretty amazing to watch, but you have to be paying attention.